Sue is not an antagonist or the villain of The Substance, even though it seems like the story or people who watch this movie and story are quick to deem her the villain and antagonist. Someone who fainted for the first time in their life watching The Substance back in late September and never finished it, finally got around to watching The Substance in its entirety in the comfort of my own home. And I have thoughts, specifically surrounding Sue and Elizabeth's dynamic and relationship with one another. Since the movie has come out, my assumption about the premise of this movie was that the substance has allowed Elizabeth to still have consciousness in Sue's body, almost like a body swap situation. As the movie progressed, it was clear to me that Sue and Elizabeth are two separate entities with two completely separate states of consciousness. With that, that brings a different element beyond the desperation for Elizabeth to seek this external validation from society, but also now conveying the notion of how women are so constantly pitted against one another or to seek that coveted male validation, societal validation. It was made incredibly evident in this scene where Elizabeth is watching Sue on this late night talk show. And when the question came up about how she replaced Elizabeth Sparkle, Elizabeth was in Sue's body. Guarantee Elizabeth would have talked so highly of herself as Sue, but no. Sue took it upon herself to slight and shade Elizabeth, especially when it comes to her just being aged out and older. Obviously, Sue did that on a more literal sense to piss off Elizabeth because Elizabeth was eating too much shit and that was causing like problems for Sue's body. And obviously, Sue doing that would make her an antagonist to Elizabeth's story. But in hindsight, Sue's just as much of a victim in this patriarchal society as Elizabeth was. In her small window of time on Earth, she was indoctrinated to that very sexist mindset and belief that women are only valued when they are young and pretty. And because she was benefiting from that, she wanted to hold on to that power as much as possible at the cost of a substance imbalance, at the cost of Elizabeth's physicality. It still boggles my mind that Elizabeth took things way too far to the point where, again, in hindsight, Elizabeth didn't really directly benefit from the substance. She hated herself so much that she was willing to just live vicariously through Sue. She treated Elizabeth just as badly as Dennis Quaid's character and everyone around her. All Sue was truly guilty of was being too ambitious for her own good. Ambition cost her her life and Elizabeth's life. She was just as desperate to hold on to that fame just as much as Elizabeth was so desperate to hold on to her youth. And that's why I wish Sue spoke highly of Elizabeth in this interview. That would have been the antithesis to the whole premise of the substance. Women were supporting women, especially women from different generations supporting the new generation. Women and girls wouldn't be afraid of aging and think that women are only valuable when they are young and pretty. Accomplished and talented women are still accomplished and talented women at any age. Let me know what you think, but I'm glad I survived the substance finally.